Hi there, this is Nancy. I am a minute early because I wanted to see if I could find my video before it's actually time to start on Facebook. That way we won't hold things up because I'm afraid my technique might possibly take a little bit of time and I don't want to run over. It's a very simple card. The Retiform technique takes stamp inks and paper, pretty much. Up there I am. I am going to turn that on, make it large enough so I can see your comments, and get started in just a moment. I have a little bit of a new setup. I got a new iPad and it's huge. I didn't tell them I wanted the small one, so I've had to move things around. I'm hoping it all works out okay. This is my card. It's using the beautiful set, Seaside Bay, and I really like this set. It's got beautiful papers, embellishments, ribbon, and lovely dies. We are using none of that. We're just going to use the stamps. I've got them all mounted and ready to go. As you can see, I have made grids because that's what Retiform means, R-E-T-I-F-O-R-M. It means grid. So I'm going to show you how I made the grids, and then I'm going to tell you how other people can make grids, because this is not the only way to do it. I think it was, well, it's fairly new to stamping. It's a messy technique. We're going to get some extra paper to work on. And I saw it, someone demonstrate it, and I thought, wow, that looks fun. And it really is. And so I made a couple cards, and then I quickly forgot about it, and it was brought back to my attention recently in a, well, hi, Sue. Oh, you haven't played with this set yet? It is absolutely beautiful. I love that, this set. Okay, hi, Shirley. So the inside and the front are 4 by 5¼ inches or 10 by 14.4 centimeters. And these will be in the description a little bit later. So I have two of them, one for the front, one for the inside. I'm going to set the inside aside. As you can see, this is really needed something to set it off from the early espresso card base. And so I've used a layer of white at 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches, or 10.3 by 14.7 centimeters. And we're also going to set that aside. We're going to card base half of a full sheet of paper, 5.5 by 8.5, or 14.9 by 21, just scored in half and folded. I'll set that aside, and an envelope. So the key is making the grids. So I have my soft suede ink, which is the only ink I'm using today. The Post-it notes will be used later. And I have my long, fairly sturdy, because it's the backer for the Designer Series paper. Hi, Lori, you made it. I'm so glad. And I'm just going to start making grids. And I find that every single card turns out differently. So I'm tapping on my early espresso, and I'm starting off the paper because I don't want clumps. And you add more as you go along. I'm holding both my grid, my paper for the grid, and my guide here down. I probably should have re-inked my soft suede because I have been using it quite a bit. And I'm just going to touch on the edges, leaving the center, because that's where I'm going to stamp later. I know that I have a couple larger stamps, so I think I'm going to move over here. I am making mostly triangles, but they will not all be triangles, but they will all be geometric. Here we go, just swirling, tapping and swirling until I've got it as dark as I want it. And I probably should move around on this to the edges because it's a little bit drier than I would like. Okay, 2 grids done. Let's put another one in, not quite a triangle. Someone out there probably knows what it is. I want to say it might be a rhomboid, but not entirely positive. It is only on the outer edges that I'm putting color. Ooh, that's an interesting shape. That's why it all comes out differently. Hi, Renee. It is fun. It's like nothing ever comes out exactly the same. So swirling. Oh, I moved a little. Realigning. Because the grids stand out with that little bit of white. So I'm going to give you a little bit light in where they meet. And maybe a little darker here. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's the nice thing. You just need to be able to see each separate section. How about one right here? I actually like triangles. And I'm trying to do this a little faster. You know, you might take a little more time with it when you're doing it yourself, just for fun and not on camera. Okay. And then it does look a little bit, it just looks a teensy bit too white and stark. So I'm going to put just a little bit of color up against that edge, but not so much that it blocks my line, because I need to know where my grids are easily. Okay, how about here? You can do big grids. You can do little grids. It depends on the stamp set. This stamp set has a lot of stamps. And I'm going to show you one I did with another stamp set, which also has a lot of stamps. Oh, Renee, thank you. Oh, hi, Rose. Good to see you. I don't know, there's just something about this that I really like. A little bit lighter along the edges. And then let's make a place for our bird. Should I make a spot right here? Because the bird stamp is one of the larger stamps. And when you actually get to the stamping part, which is fun, it takes shape. And it just looks like you've got a collage of pictures that have been cut off. So a little bit more brown here, and then just a little bit in here. Not a lot, just a little bit. Now that's an interesting shape. Okay, let's go with this shape. Bring just a little color in. Give this just a little bit more. There we are. This is the fun part of the whole thing. Let's see. Here we go. This is almost, what is that, an isosceles triangle that has the 90-degree corner? What do we think? Hi, Nona. It is a fun one. Hi, Terry. Good to see you. Hi, Renee. It's sort of like making your own designer series paper. Same concept, put your paper on, but I don't know, there's something rewarding about making the grids. Okay, let's try this one. I find it a little difficult to hold on to both of them when I get to the end. You could probably use your blending brush. I didn't. I thought I had more control with the dauber. It's not normally my go-to tool, but for this I think it works quite well. And then we have our last one, which I am just going to take some, so you can see what I meant when I said I was going to make a mess. Put some around the edge so it's, and then just a light. Okay, there's our Retiform grid. And now we come to the important piece. Post-it notes. Post-it notes are adorable and wonderful. I don't know, I think we all love them. I'm going to turn this over so it's a little cleaner. I'm still going to make a mess. I'm going to continue on, but we'll start off clean. And what I need to do is I need to align this so that the entire area is covered. And then I need to pick I think that might be a nice place to start with. Oh, I don't know why I put the ink away. We are going to need it. Oh, thank you, Sue. I like it as a grid too. It's kind of fun. And you could use that as your base to build on for as your matte layer, or to build your focal point on top of it. I'm just going to make it the focal point. To make sure that's stamping right. Yep. And it doesn't matter if it's right side up or upside down. You just stamp it off, because it's like a collage of pictures that have been thrown into a pile and they're covering each other up. Okay, our first grid is filled. And we just keep using our Post-it note. Let's see. And this one, we'll need some extra masking. That's what we're doing. We're masking the grid with our Post-it note, if we want to be technical. There we go. And I like to move the ones I've used to another spot, because I will come back to some of them. And this is a nice one, I think, for, how about a shell? And the shell is, so there's our shell. I will say that there's not much bling on this card, and it doesn't really need much bling. But I did have to pull in some Wink of Stella, and I'll show you where I did that at. That's over there. This one is, I don't know. The crab makes a nice appearance in the corner. He won't be totally covered. Make sure I'm getting enough ink on this. That looks pretty good. So there he is. I'm sure it's a he. He looks dangerous, and I know women aren't, right? So now it's kind of starting to take shape. I like to give the ink a chance to dry, so I alternate my Post-it notes. And you can use the Post-it notes for a couple of different... Sorry, obviously I can't put things down and talk at the same time. A couple of different cards, fronts. But when they stop sticking really well, then it's time to move on to new Post-it notes. Thankfully, they aren't expensive. Let's see. Let's just put that down like that. And we have a sentiment. And this time I'm going to put the sentiment up higher. Make sure I get a lot of... Oh, I think I overdid that one. Nope, that's okay. This one probably should be right side up. And since I'll only use that one, I'll set it aside. But it needs a little something. And there's this wonderful sand stamp in there. And so I did reuse this quite a lot. Adding sand to spots. Let's see. There we are. Are we doing okay now? Let's see, our time is running out. It's not running out. It's just getting a little bit shorter. But you get the idea of what I'm doing. And I can talk you through how I put it together if we don't have time to do that. And sometimes it takes my Post-it notes to grid things off than other times. Okay, we masked that. I think birds. What do you think? Little birds? Cute little birds? And I can do this and keep the other two birds off of it. There we go. So one nice thing about the Post-it notes is it really does a nice job gridding things off or masking things. Let's see, right there. So I hope that everybody gives this technique a try because it's so much fun. Now you know why I was so excited last night. I was clapping my hands because I wanted to share this. Let's see, one more Post-it note needed. And I think I was going to put the big bird there, but I think I'm going to put the pearl. Okay. Put it just like this. No, like this, like that. And I think it would benefit from just a little bit of sand. I didn't take into account the thickness, double thickness of the Post-it note, so that could have been stamped a little harder. Let's see. And this is what takes time, is getting your masking paper or your Post-it notes in place so you can stamp. And because I just kind of like to play, I kind of challenge myself not to reuse stamps until, except for the sand one, until I've got things, all of them used, and then I can reuse them. Let's see. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'd like to get his beak in, his head and beak. So let's see how that does. And that takes us then down here to the bottom. And what shall we put in here? I have this stamp left to use. There it is. Okay. Because I've got 10:51 and I don't want to encroach on anyone's time. So I'm just going to walk you through how I put it together. And I will finish it later. But I took my card base. It was very simple. I'm not going to adhere anything. I took for the inside, because we know if you've got a pretty outside, you need a pretty inside. I stamped the pearl, and then I did the shells and the sand around it. And then I adhered it. I did the same basically with the envelope, except I just did the shells along the bottom, started up the side, and along the flap. So I will do that a little bit later. I adhered, oh, I guess this was the larger one. This is the one I decorated the bottom. The larger one has a thin border of white. It's about just a little bit, 0.3 centimeters or an eighth of an inch. And then I decided it really did need something. So I pulled in my linen twine, or linen thread, and I wrapped it 3 or 4 times and tied a bow. And then I took my Wink of Stella and I just couldn't help myself. I just dabbed it. I tried not to spread the ink too much because the soft suede ink does spread with Wink of Stella. But I thought that these shells would be really nice if they had just a little sparkle. And the same with the pearl. Pearls need sparkle. And I believe this shell has a mother of pearl look to it. So it got a little sparkle. The birdie's eye got a little sparkle. Just a little bit. And then I called it good. Because you have to have some sparkle in your life. I did use dimensionals to mount this onto the card base. And there's our card. Now, the reason I did hurry this part through is I wanted to show you of the variety, a couple more cards. Because this one I did in the same manner as the gridding, but I used a colored ink instead of keeping it all neutral. And then I stamped in black, the Memento Black. That's one way. I watched one video where the demonstrator took a rectangle, oh well, there, a little rectangle of basic white, used it as a pattern, and drew a grid connecting them all. So they were all rectangles or pieces of rectangles. And then she did the masking off. So it didn't have all the color in it, but it had black squares or rectangles. And then the other way that I've seen it done, and I'm going to show you this. Now, this is a swap card, a Retiform swap, and this is what I was sent. I didn't make this one, but what she did is she took a piece of tape and used the tape to do her grids, and then she colored in all of the grids with the base color and stamped. And I guess this is the only one with color in it, but she did her stamping then. So there are different ways to do it. I hope you give it a try. We have 5 more minutes. So I am just going to work away for those 5 minutes so you can see how this looks as it gets close to being done. I'm hoping that you give this a try. If you do, please put your photo in the comments because I would love to see it, to see what you've come up with. And of course, as always, if you have questions or you need product, please contact your demonstrator who invited you. And we all enjoy. Oh, I like this stamp. It's the little spiral shell. And then the last one I have is the glass bottle, so I might put something with it. Oh, hi, Annette. Good to see you. Can you believe that I didn't use lots of sparkle, Annette? And there's no glitter paper? Oh, let's get the shells with the sand. Put them in, and then do a beach ball or two. Or beach glass. That's what this looks like to me. And now we've used every stamp in the set. One twice. I only have 2 left to do. And I'm going to say goodbye for right now. Put this on top. And I hope you do try the technique. Thank you, Lori. All right. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye-bye.